Let me begin by telling you that everything you see in your world, every circumstance, every relationship, every penny in your bank account is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. There is no such thing as an external reality separate from your consciousness. The world you experience is a mirror, reflecting back to you your own concept of self, your own understanding of the I Am. Now, what do I mean by I Am? This is the most crucial understanding you must grasp tonight. I Am is God's name. When Moses asked, "Who shall I say sent me?" the response was, "I am that I am." This same I Am dwells within you, and it is your true identity. It is not something separate from you. It is the very core of your being. But here is where most people go astray. They use this mighty I Am unconsciously, attaching to it all manner of limitations and negative assumptions. They say, "I am sick, I am broke, I am unlucky," not realizing that they are using the creative power of the universe to establish these very conditions in their lives. Let me share with you a principle that will transform your understanding forever. Whatever falls your I Am becomes your reality. It is an immutable law, as certain as the law of gravity. When you declare I Am, you are activating the creative power of God within you, and whatever you attach to that declaration must, by divine law, be made manifest in your world. Think about it. Throughout your day, how many times do you unconsciously make I Am statements that contradict what you truly desire to be? Every time you say or think, "I am not good enough, I am struggling, I am confused," you are using the creative power of God to create those very conditions in your experience. But here is the wonderful news. You can consciously choose what you attach to I Am. This is the mastery of mind we speak of tonight. You are not bound by your past, your current circumstance, or what others think of you. You are bound only by your concept of self, by what you accept as true about yourself. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current bank account shows lack. The natural tendency is to look at the bank account and say, "I am poor," or "I am struggling financially." But this is precisely backward. Your bank account is not the cause of your financial state. It is the effect of your consciousness about money. To change your financial reality, you must first change your concept of self regarding money. You must dare to declare, I am wealthy, even when your senses deny it. This is not lying to yourself. This is understanding the law of consciousness. Your external reality must conform to your inner conviction about who you are. Now, some of you might be thinking, "But Neville, isn't this just positive thinking or self-deception?" No, my dear friends, this is far more fundamental than positive thinking. This is about understanding the nature of reality itself. Your consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being, you must become. Consider the biblical statement, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." This is not merely suggesting a change in thinking, it is revealing the law of transformation. When you change your concept of self, when you consciously choose what to attach to your I Am, you are literally transforming your entire world. Let me share with you how to practically apply this law. First, you must understand that your imaginal acts are real acts. When you imagine yourself being what you desire to be, you are creating reality. Your physical reality must conform to your imaginal acts when they are persistent and felt with conviction. Here is a technique I have taught for years before you go to sleep at night. Create a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. If you want to be wealthy, feel the joy and security of having abundance. If you want to be healthy, feel the vitality and strength in your body. If you want to be loved, feel the warmth of loving relationships. But, and this is crucial, you must feel the reality of your imaginal act. It's not enough to merely visualize it. You must enter the scene completely, embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of being what you desire to be. The feeling is the secret. Remember, your consciousness is not confined to the boundaries of your physical body. Your consciousness is God, and God is not limited by space or time. Therefore, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are actually experiencing that reality now, and your physical world must reshape itself to match your assumption. Let me give you another powerful technique for mastering your mind. Throughout your day, catch yourself whenever you make an unconscious I am statement. Become aware of how you are using this creative power. Then consciously choose different statements that align with your desires. Instead of saying, I am tired, say, I am vitality itself. Instead of saying, I am worried, say, I am peace. Instead of saying, I am lonely, say, I am infinitely loved. But remember, these are not mere affirmations. They are recognition of your true nature. When you say, I am wealth, you are not trying to convince yourself of something false. You are acknowledging the truth that you are the God power that creates all wealth, and therefore wealth must be your natural state. Now let's address the resistance that might arise in your mind. Your rational mind, based on past experience and current circumstances, might argue against your new assumptions. This is natural. But understand this, your rational mind can only draw conclusions based on the past. It cannot create anything new. Creation comes from consciousness, from the I am within you. When doubts arise, do not fight them. Simply return to your chosen assumption. If you have decided I am wealthy, and thoughts of lack arise, gently but firmly return to your chosen state. Remember, what you persist in assuming must become your reality. This is law. Let me share with you a profound truth that many myths, the state you assume, if persisted in, will become so natural that it will become your predominant state. This is why many fail in their attempts to change. They try on a new state, but abandon it before it becomes natural. They treat it as a temporary exercise rather than a new way of being. Consider a person learning to play the piano. At first, the movements are awkward, unnatural, but with persistence, what was once difficult becomes effortless. The same is true with your new concept of self. What feels unnatural at first will, with persistence, become your natural state of being. This brings us to another crucial aspect of mastering your mind, the importance of feeling. Your feeling about yourself is your real belief. You may declare with your lips, I am wealthy, but if you feel poor, it is the feeling that will manifest. Therefore, you must cultivate the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes your predominant feeling. How do you do this? By living from the end. Act as though you are already wished to be. How would you feel if you were already wealthy? How would you carry yourself? How would you think about money? Begin to embody these feelings and thoughts now, not as an act, but as a recognition of your true state. Remember the biblical injunction, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. The Christ mind is the awareness of being God in expression. It is the understanding that I am is God, and that you can be anything you choose to be by consciously embodying that state. Now let me address a common misconception. Many believe that external actions are needed to create change. While action is not to be denied, it is not the cause of your good. Action follows being. When you truly assume a new state of consciousness, the appropriate actions will flow naturally from that state. For instance, if you truly embody the consciousness of wealth, you will naturally take actions that wealthy people take. You will see opportunities that were always there but were invisible to your previous state of consciousness. You will make decisions from a place of abundance rather than lack. This is why I tell you, change your concept of self, and you change your entire world. Your outer world is nothing more than your inner world pushed out. There is no other creator in your world but your own wonderful human imagination. Let me share with you another powerful practice for mastering your mind. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself, what am I conscious of being right now? This simple practice will make you aware of the state you are occupying. Remember, whatever state you occupy, that you become. If you find yourself in an undesirable state, know that you have the power to move from that state instantly. How? By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. If you are feeling lack, immediately assume the feeling of abundance. If you are feeling loneliness, immediately assume the feeling of being deeply loved. This is not denial of the current circumstances. This is understanding that circumstances do not create your reality. Your consciousness creates your circumstances. Therefore, to change any circumstance, change your consciousness first. Consider this: every moment of your life, you are choosing a state of consciousness. Most people choose unconsciously, reacting to circumstances and perpetuating the same patterns. But you, understanding this law, can choose consciously. You can choose what you wish to be regardless of what your senses tell you. This is the true meaning of free will. Your free will is not in controlling external events. It is in choosing what you wish to be conscious of. And since your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions, this is the ultimate power. Let me give you a practical exercise to strengthen this understanding. Tonight before you sleep, review your day. Notice the various states you occupy. Were you conscious of being limited or unlimited? Were you conscious of being powerful or powerless? Were you conscious of being wealthy or poor? Then make a conscious decision about what state you choose to occupy tomorrow. Select the states that align with your desires. Feel yourself into these states now. Fall asleep in the assumption that this is who you are. Remember, sleep is the time when your conscious and subconscious minds are most relaxed, most receptive to new impressions. What you impress upon your consciousness as you fall asleep will work throughout the night to create corresponding conditions in your life. Now, let's address persistence. Many abandon their imaginal acts because they don't see immediate results. But understand this. The time it takes for your assumption to become your physical reality is proportionate to how natural the assumption feels. The more real and natural your new state feels, the quicker it will manifest. This is why I emphasize the importance of feeling. You must feel the reality of your new state now. Don't think of it as something that will be true in the future. Think of it as something that is true now. And your physical reality is catching up to this truth. Consider the story of the prodigal son. He had to come to himself before he could return to his father's house. This is exactly what you do when you assume a new state. You are coming to yourself, remembering who you really are, claiming your divine inheritance. Your divine inheritance is the power to be whatever you choose to be. This is not something you need to achieve, it is something you need to accept. You already are what you desire to be, but you must claim it in consciousness first. Let me share with you another powerful truth. Your world is your consciousness objectified. Everything you see, everyone you meet, every circumstance you encounter is yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change anything in your world, change yourself first. If you want more love in your world, become more loving in consciousness. If you want more success in your world, embody the consciousness of success. If you want more abundance in your world, expand your consciousness to include abundance as your natural state. This is the true meaning of seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. The kingdom of heaven is your own wonderful human imagination, your consciousness. When you seek first the right state of consciousness, everything else must follow. Remember, you are not working to make things happen. You are working to achieve a state of consciousness. Once the state is achieved, the things must happen, for that is law. As we near the conclusion of our discussion tonight, let me emphasize this point. You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Your concept of self is either limiting you or setting you free. Choose wisely what you wish to think about yourself. Every moment of every day you are using the power of I am. Make it a conscious use. Don't let your I am be determined by circumstances, memories, or others' opinions. Choose what you wish to be and claim it now with your I am. The mastery of mind we speak of is really the mastery of your I am. When you master this, you master your entire world. For there is no power outside of your own consciousness that can affect your life. Consider for a moment, every time you say I am, you are literally moving through states of consciousness. These states are all present now, existing simultaneously like different channels on a radio. Your job is not to create these states, for they already exist. Your job is simply to tune into them through a wonderful imagination. Let me give you an example from my own experience. Years ago, when I was in Barbados, I met a young lady who desperately wanted to travel to America, but lacked the means. I taught her this very principle we're discussing tonight. I told her, instead of saying I want to go to America, which implies lack and separation, assume I am in America. She didn't need to know how it would happen. Her only task was to persist in that assumption. You see, when you say I am, you are activating the very essence of God within you. This is why the Bible tells us, be still and know that I am God. This stillness is not physical stillness, but rather the quiet knowing that what you are assuming is already done. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone assuming I am. Before the Wright brothers flew, they first assumed I am capable of flying. Before Edison illuminated the world, he first assumed I am the one who will bring light. These were not mere positive thoughts. They were assumptions that carried the weight of reality and consciousness. Let me share another secret that few understand. The feeling of your assumption being realized is the real secret. When you assume I am wealthy, you must feel the relief, the security, the freedom that wealth brings. When you assume I am healthy, feel the vitality coursing through your body. These feelings are the prayer, and feeling is the secret. Many of you come to me and ask, but Neville, how long must I persist in my assumption? And I tell you this, persist until your assumption feels more real to you than the evidence of your senses. When you can walk in the absolute conviction of your assumption, despite all evidence to the contrary, you have mastered the art of living. Consider the story of the prophet Elijah. When he prayed for rain during a devastating drought, he persisted in his assumption of rain until his servant saw a cloud the size of a man's hand. This is how you must persist in your assumption until you see the first signs of its manifestation in your world. But remember this, the signs follow, they do not precede. Too many of you are looking for signs before you will believe. This is backwards. You must first believe, which means to assume the feeling of you're fulfilled, and then the signs will follow as a matter of course. Let me share something profound about the nature of time in relation to your assumptions. When you assume a state, you are actually selecting it from the infinite states that already exist. It's like choosing a book from a vast library. The book already exists. You're simply selecting it through your attention and assumption. This is why I tell you that imaginal acts are real acts. When you imagine yourself being what you desire to be, you are actually experiencing that reality in a dimension just as real as this physical one. Your physical reality must then conform to match this imaginal act, for that is the law of consciousness. Consider how you wake up each morning. Before you even open your eyes, you remember who you are, where you are, and what your life situation is. But I tell you this, that remembrance is an assumption. You can, if you dare, assume a different state entirely. You can wake up remembering yourself as the person you wish to be. This is not fantasy or wishful thinking. This is the conscious use of the law that governs all manifestation. Your physical reality is nothing more than your assumptions crystallized. Change your assumptions, and you must change your world. Let me share another technique that I found particularly powerful. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself saying or thinking, I am fortified by something you do not wish to be, stop immediately. Cancel that assumption by declaring, that's not what I mean to assume. Then consciously choose a new assumption that aligns with your desires. This practice requires vigilance. You must become aware of your mental diet, of what you're feeding your consciousness through your I am statements. Just as you wouldn't knowingly eat poisoned food, stop poisoning your consciousness with negative assumptions. Remember the biblical story of Job. His trials didn't end until he changed his assumption about himself and his relationship with God. When he finally assumed his rightful place as blessed and prosperous, his fortunes were restored double. This is not just a story. It's a demonstration of the law we're discussing tonight. Your entire life is a series of assumptions crystallized. Look around your world right now. Everything you see, everything you experience was once just an assumption in your consciousness. The clothes you're wearing, the chair you're sitting in, the relationships you have, all were first assumed in consciousness before they became physical facts. This is why mastery of mind is so crucial. Your mind, through the power of assumption, is quite literally creating your reality moment by moment. Most people do this unconsciously, reacting to circumstances and perpetuating the same patterns. But you, armed with this knowledge, can do it consciously. Let me share something else about the nature of assumption. When you assume a state, you must give it all the tones of reality. You must live from that assumption as if it were already fact. If you assume wealth, begin to think from wealth, not of wealth. There's a crucial difference here. Thinking of wealth keeps it as something separate from you, something to be achieved. Thinking from wealth means embodying the consciousness of being wealthy now. How would you think if you were already wealthy? How would you feel? How would you act? Begin to live from that state now. Consider the biblical advice that the weak say, I am strong. This is not suggesting self-deception. It's revealing the law of consciousness. When the weak assume I am strong, they are choosing a different state of consciousness, and their physical reality must conform to this new assumption. This is why I emphasize the importance of your mental conversations. What do you say to yourself throughout the day? What do you assume about yourself in your internal dialogues? These mental conversations are crucial because they reveal what you're actually assuming about yourself and your world. Let me share another powerful technique for mastering your assumptions. Before any important event or interaction, assume it has already happened perfectly. Live from the end feeling the satisfaction and joy of the perfect outcome. This is not wishful thinking. This is consciously creating your reality. Remember, the universe is infinite response. It can only respond to what you are conscious of being. If you are conscious of lack, it must provide experiences of lack. If you are conscious of abundance, it must provide experiences of abundance. This is law, not chance. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that there is no need to manipulate external circumstances. Your only task is to assume the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. The external circumstances must then rearrange themselves to match your assumption. Think about this. Every moment of your life, you are choosing a state of consciousness. Most people choose unconsciously based on habits of thought and past experiences. But you, understanding this law, can choose consciously. You can choose what you wish to be, regardless of what your senses tell you. This is why I tell you that your imagination is God in action. When you imagine yourself being what you desire to be, you are actually experiencing that reality now. Your physical reality must then conform to match this imaginal experience. Consider how you fall asleep each night. The last assumption you hold as you drift off to sleep is particularly powerful, for it works throughout your sleep to create corresponding conditions in your life. This is why I emphasize the importance of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled as you fall asleep. Let me share another profound truth about the nature of consciousness. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical body. Your consciousness is infinite, unlimited, unbounded. Therefore, when you assume a state, you are not reaching for something outside yourself. You are selecting from the infinite states that already exist within your own consciousness. This is why the Bible tells us that the kingdom of heaven is within. All states of consciousness exist within you now. Your task is not to create them, but to select them through your power of assumption. Remember, your world is yourself pushed out. Everything you experience is your consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change anything in your world, you must first change your consciousness. This is the true meaning of mastering your mind. Let me give you another technique for maintaining your desired state. Throughout your day, ask yourself, if I were the person I want to be, how would I see this situation? How would I react? What would I think? Then assume that consciousness now. This is not pretending or acting. This is understanding that all states exist now, and you are choosing which state to occupy. Just as you can move from one room to another in a house, you can move from one state of consciousness to another through your assumption. The mastery of mind we speak of tonight is really the mastery of assumption. When you master your assumptions, you master your world. For there is no power outside of your own consciousness that can determine your experience. Your life is a series of states, and you are always in a state. The question is, are you choosing your states consciously, or are you being chosen by your habits of thought? The mastery comes in conscious choice, in deliberately assuming the state that aligns with your desires. Remember this. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every event in your world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change your world, change yourself. Choose what you wish to be and claim it with your I am. As we conclude tonight, I want you to grasp this final truth. You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Your concept of self is either limiting you or setting you free. Choose wisely what you wish to think about yourself. Go forth tonight with this knowledge. Apply it consistently. Watch your world transform as you transform your concept of self. For you are indeed what you choose to be. And that choice is made in consciousness first and asked and always. Test this law. Prove it to yourself. Choose a new concept of self tonight. Feel its reality. Live from that assumption. Watch the miracles unfold in your life. For in mastering your mind through the power of assumption, you master your entire world. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. Master your consciousness and you master your world. For you are indeed what you choose to be. And that choice is made now, in this moment with your wonderful human imagination. Thank you all, and good night. The greatest truth that man must realize is that we are all gods, orchestrating our own cosmic play upon the grand stage of existence. Our consciousness does not simply observe this world, but literally sustains and creates it moment by moment. We are the poets crafting the epics of our lives. To reprogram your mind and shift your energies towards success is not to undertake some arduous lifelong journey. It is simply to awaken to your true nature as the authors of your respective universes. When you shed the blinders of doubt and limitation, you will see that the attainment of your fondest dreams is not some improbable aspiration, but your natural state of being. You need only conceive of the desire you wish to unleash into this world, and through the deliverable magic of your imagination, you make it so. The world around you in all its immensity and sensory tangibility is simply solidified consciousness. It conforms to the contents of your marvelous mind, which possesses the awesome power of reshaping form itself. Let me repeat that again, for it is a truth so profound, so revolutionary in its implications, you must let its enormity fully penetrate your consciousness. You are the operant power animating not only your circumstances, but every facet of your experienced reality. You are the cosmic dreamer conjuring universes into existence. To know this as an intellectual concept is one thing, but to ingrain and add its truth into the very fabric of your being is to unlock your divine thermonuclear power. It is not through soulless techniques or mental trickeries, but by a perfect absorption into the certainty of being that you reprogram your mindset toward boundless achievement. Imagine what fires could be stoked within you if you realize that every finite impression you perceive is but a shadow resonance of infinite capacities stirring within your immortal being. That the creations you behold, splendid as they are but a dim foreshadowing of the kaleidoscopic wonders brewing in your subconscious depths, yearning to burst forth into objective manifestation. The pyramids, the symphonies, the cathedrals and empires of this world that so eminently impress the senses, these are but faint mirrorings of your spiritual inferno, dream realms that will one day pulse into palpable substance. For within you dwell worlds upon worlds, galaxies waiting to be born from your imagination's matrixal womb. Success, my friends, however you personally define it, is not something you pursue and capture like a fleeting animal in the wilderness. It is your natural state of being once you become keenly aware of the infinite bundles of power and potential throbbing within your very soul. The great sages and avatars throughout the ages realized that desires automatically achieve consummate expression simply by their being conceived and firmly occupying one's consciousness. Jesus was able to resurrect and transfigure his flesh because he operated with a spiritual continuity, that he was the Son of God, that he was one with the creative principle animating all existence. Those who mastered and activated the power of their subconscious faculties became outright alchemists, able to reshape molecules and attenuate matter into new forms and realities. The beauty you witness blossoming across the vast spectacle of creation is but an adumbration of what you can continually generate by lapsing into the infinite reverie that you truly are. Whatever your heart yearns for, whether it be wealth, perfect health, harmonious relationships, creative masterpieces, or to elevate this earth into a utopian paradise, it is all readily achievable once you accept the reality of being the cosmic dreamer vivifying the universe from your spiritual furnaces. You need not anxiously struggle, scheme, or exhaust yourself in pursuit of success. for it blossoms effortlessly from the womb of your consciousness. It is simply a new perception, a sublimely enlightened rearranging of your thoughts and ultimate self-action that brings into view the spiritual realities always connected with your being. Cares, struggles, conflicts, and travails abound only for those who buy into the duality of being separate from the creative principle. For them, every desire is an uphill battle against opposing forces and stubborn circumstances that appear indifferent to their longings. But for you who recognize that all force springs from your consciousness, success becomes as natural and inevitable as your breath itself. When you dissolve the illusions surrounding you, and they are illusions, friends, for this world is nothing more than a passing panorama of images molded from the infinite plasticity of your imagination, then you live continually in the spiritual ethers of perpetual achievement. You dwell in the cosmic dream wherein you are the eternally victorious protagonist. Ask yourself what you truly desire, not the frivolous, ephemeral cravings fueled by egoistic passions and fleeting delirium, but your true, godly longing searing from the very core of your being, that insatiable fire burning from your spiritual source, your essence, desiring full expression. Once you become vividly awakened to that core desire, that yearning you feel in the quietude of soul, you need only give it your rapturous, unhesitant attention, and that divine passion begins to remake and remold your reality in its own likeness. When you really want something with the totality of your being, so that every fiber, every neutron is supercharged with that intention, the whole universe bends and acquiesces to your will. Difficulties and oppositions will only appear to those living in a finite, dualistic realm that sees struggle as necessary for attainment. But you, who comprehend that all is your perception, all is molded consciousness, understand that simply by riveting your desires in the boundless ethers of your conscious temple, you summon it into objectivity without any resistance whatsoever. My friends, you are so much more than you currently recognize. You have settled for a pale rendition of the blazing infinities churning within your immortal being. You are the very weaver of the cosmic loom, the eternal artist birthing realities with your perpetual dreaming. The successes you presently applaud as extraordinary are but timid preludings of the super spectacles and dimensions waiting to erupt from your resplendent subconscious territories. They are washings of the same waves that ceaselessly thunder and swirl through your infinite depths. Do you ever ponder why certain individuals, against all conventional odds and circumstances, achieve staggering success and operate on a scale that boggles the finite mind? It is because they are tapped into the spiritual continuum of their divine imagination. They are in resonance with the celestial keynote sounding from their eternal being. Every true genius, avatar, and master creator is one who merely discovers how to get themselves out of the way and become a clear window for the infinite source currents to pour through their human vessel. They become empty conduits for the spiritual tsunamis waiting to uncurl from the subconscious ocean deeps within them. Such self-surrender and hollow entrancement into the depths of their being allows creators unbridled access into the prodigious wellsprings from which dreams, visions, inventions, and new realities are birthed into manifestation. What you call desires, longings, and aspirations are but coded spiritual instructions from the infinite dream currents flowing through you, signaling that new dimensions are eagerly aching to press forth into materialized objectivity. Each pure passion that sears through you is the blaze announcing that untrodden universes are anxiously awaiting to incarnate from your imagination's radiant furnaces. Your true self is formless light, an infinite labyrinth of creative and universal quintessence shaped into a resplendent being for the precise purpose of exploring, manifesting, and giving full expression to the boundless treasures encoded within your subconscious wonders. Countless civilizations, masterworks, and entire galaxies have been in fetal form, dormant within the limitless potencies you now call your human self. But you are far vaster, far more prodigious than the scant entities you presently ascribe to the limited personas you temporarily inhabit. You are inexhaustibly creating because you are creation itself. Your inherent nature is constant imaginative exuberance, an eternal dreaming of newer, grander, multidimensional experiences. To cease projecting forth fresh realities through your concentrated imaginations would be to extinguish the core of your ontological existence. I tell you, friends, the world that so solidly appears around you is merely a shadow realm, a brief cosmic day residue formed from the subconscious night reality simmering within you. What you presently behold with your senses is simply the ephemeral atmosphere sandwiched between the dream-swept eternities of your being. Your imagination is the umbilical cord that forever binds you to the fecund womb of the infinite. Through its brilliant paradox of manifesting forms while remaining formless, it draws ever new and wilder expressions of immanence up from the celestial abyss. You are not truly born until you realize your innate power of resurrection, of perpetually being conceived anew through the wondrous dreamings of your boundless imagination. To be twice born is not a poetic metaphor, but the literal shedding of your causal, limited identity, and surrendered embodiment of your immortal, created infinitudes. Those who walk this earth as so-called enlightened masters are merely those who have merged their sense of personhood into the perpetual dream state of the Kleshu. They have liberated themselves from restricting identities into the blissful continuity of imagination as their core consciousness and mode of operation. Through their realization that unbroken dreaming is their inherent state, they have become boundless radiances, infinite sources of creativity, abundance, and inspiration, eternally remolding their environments into kaleidoscopic raptures of materialized ideation. The instant you feel yourself firmly rooted in the adamantine truth that you are a cosmic, creator dreaming universes into fruition, the yoke of limitation, anxiety, and every earthly care are dissolved from upon your being. You will have already entered into the imperishable paradise worlds, where every aspiration is satisfied by a mere whim of your imagination. My words may strike chords of incredulity or skepticism within you, but I urge you to consider this deeply. If you buy into the universal dream that you are separate from the creative source of existence, then you are forever doomed to live out that mental construct of souls anguished by unrealized desires and perpetual yearning. But if you fully embrace that you yourself are the wellspring of perpetual creation, the God-mind Jose imagination is what has conjured this present realm into tangibility, then the shackles of deficiency, want, and struggle instantly vanish from your being. You begin dwelling in the conscious paradise of your subconscious depths, where you are free to perpetually manifest your dreams into objectification. I urge you to have no hesitation, to slough off trepidation and the fear of appearing deluded, and is take an audacious plunge into the depths of your infinite being. I implore you to fully surrender to the certainty that the consciousness animating your perceived existence is the same prodigious power that materializes all worlds. Persist in this assumption, this solemn attunement and merging with the inexhaustible deeps of your imagination, and you will find yourself gradually awakening to unprecedented degrees of creative power. Lucrative opportunities, unimaginable experiences, and realities of abundance and fulfillment will spontaneously burst forth into your existence. The gates separating you from the highest heavens of manifestation will disintegrate, for you will be perpetually rooted in the ever-spiraling dream cycle that continually regenerates creation into newer states of beauty and magnificence. Whatever the goal or vision that ignites your soul passions, cling to it tenaciously. Nurture and amplify its presence within your consciousness until it overshadows all else and consumes your entire reality with its spiritual charge. Then simply remain faithful, poised, and continually immersed in its all-pervading atmosphere. Before long, you will witness the laws of spiritual gestation mirroring your pregnant ideations into materialized expression. Your thoughts hollowing outward into solidified circumstances, as irresistibly as an oak tree unfurling from the subtlest acorn seed. The whole world was dreamed into existence by the indomitable subconscious forces of the cosmic imagination, and you are forever plugged in into and nourished by that same inexhaustible psychic power source from which all creation issues forth. You are a particle of that infinite dreaming mind, and thus in you are contained all its godly potentialities. Your inherent nature, your raison d'etre, is to dive ceaselessly into the reveries of your subconscious. It is to unceasingly explore and give full expression to the limitless ideas, orologies, and revelations that forever unspool from your immortal imagination's myriad creative channels. The entire spectacle of existence you bear witness to is but a flickering series of images projected outward from the infinite dreaming of your subconscious mind. This world of gross matter and rigid forms is but the residue of far vaster and more sublime subconscious activities that ceaselessly clamor at the thresholds of manifestation. Earthbound minds perceive only this solidified shadow play of petrified concepts as reality, never realizing the unfathomed, living depths of subconscious gestation teeming behind the veil. They see the surface foam on the crest of the wave, oblivious to the subterranean psychic currents that delivered that surging formation out of invisibility. But you, the awakened and enlightened visionary, glimpse past the mere reflected images to behold the untrammeled vastnesses of the infinite subliminal realms, wherefrom all concepts first spark into primordial being. You peer beyond the world's congealed surface forms to the inexhaustible creative source fires forever blazing within you. Having this constant awareness of the subconscious's primacy over the external world creates a profound transfiguration in your perceptual lens and initiatory prowess. It empowers you to shed the reptilian mind's habitual limitations and trance of victimization, to emerge as a sovereign co-creator and dreamer of new realities. Those studying surface mind consciousness orbit in the gravity well of the external world of so-called facts and circumstances, eternally striving uphill to rescue or attain conditions their conscious deems desirable. But one rooted in the wisdom of subconscious primacy flows with the irresistible currents of unseen creative forces continually manifesting new conditions with effortless spontaneity. Each desire you have is but an outrush of those eternal spiritual forces beckoning to be granted newer patterns of expression in materialized objectivity. In each passion and longing you feel is the psychic resonance of unexplored dimensions pulsating with eagerness to unfurl into experienced actualities through your unique dreaming mind. The infinite deeps of your subconscious imagination resemble a divine ibiscope, an eternally revolving multidimensional hologram conjuring newer astral configurations with each fractional pause and recombination of its facets. Your mediumistic mind is the window through which these boundless, ceaselessly mutating worlds of your imagination are projected into formed expression. Thus, the very purpose and point of power in your human incarnation is to surrender as a conscious, sentient departure for these perpetual reshapings, revelations, and materialized manifestations of subconscious ideation to pass through into vivification. Each time you concentrate your focused attention and emotional energies toward upholding a clear, deliberate, ill, or desired manifestation, you have permitted another fragrance of those infinite interior essences to gestate and be born in protective expression through you. Your consent and conviction is the energetic placenta nourishing the spiritual embryo. All the greatest geniuses and visionary minds throughout history were those who, consciously or unconsciously, plunged depths into their subconscious dream waters and emerged with brilliant creative bestowals wrought forth from that infinite soul's consciousness. Rumi, Lao Tzu, Pythagoras, Da Vinci, Emerson, Tesla, these and all the true titans of human progress and illumination were mystic explorers of consciousness itself. They mastered the art of extracting sublime treasures from the unseen interiors of creation and birthing them into beautified outer existence. These avatars knew that to embark on any endeavor in the three-dimensional sphere while remaining disconnected from the spiritual dream matrix was to have against the universe's current, swimming upstream in resistance to the very source of one's birthright as an outflowing of the infinite. But when aligned and in synergistic rapport with their originating subconscious well springs, they became lightning rods for reality's continual metamorphosis. Plugged into the perpetual dreaming source awareness from whence all realities spring, they harness boundless, innovative, and materializing power to reshape their environments with their willed ideations. This mystical marriage of conscious intention and subconscious infinitude is what births all revolutionaries, geniuses, and avatars onto this earthly plane. It is the alchemical sacred union where the impregnating fires of imagination conceive ideations into materialized objectivity. Your perpetual desires, aspirations, and idealized visions act as transcendental tuning forks that broadcast your intentions into the subconscious dream fields of your being. Their amplitudes reverberate through the infinite holographic labyrinth of your deeper mind, conjuring forth a harmonic convergence in the patterns that ceaselessly manifest into creation. Just as a singer can effortlessly shatter a glass through focused resonant frequencies, your subconscious imagination is able to concretize your projected thought sliders into experienced realities with infinitely more powerful reverberations. Hold an intention and fervently amplify it in your conscious sphere, and you transmit its energies like a lightning rod into your subconscious imaginative dream fields. In the inexhaustible ethers of your infinite imaginative deeps is where the concentrated thought form is taken up and nurtured through emotional feeling, visualization, and soulful belief into vivified materialization. This is why I urge you to never relinquish or abandon your passionate dreams. Never let them dissipate or grow dim from distraction or a lack of mental focus. For these crystallized visions and longings from your soul's core are the very areas activating the shape-shifting macro forces of your subconscious, the sacred keynotes that govern the creation of your experiential realities. The more you infuse these transcendent aspirations with emotional energy, sensory feeling, and convictional certainty, the more you pour your conscious waveforms into pulsating resonance with the infinite creative dream fields you originate. This harmonic convergence of your conscious ideations and subconscious infinite source awareness is the divine alchemical ritual birthing new realities into manifestation. Envision how brilliant artists, masters of their craft, continually impregnate their canvases or symphonic scores with fresh ideations, breathe forth from the boundless reveries that forever unspool within their imaginations. Their creations seem to take on a life of their own, their sublime works resonating with a pulsating aliveness that transcends such lifeless forms. So too does the infinite wellspring of consciousness within you continually catalyze its own reveries of splendors and reveal it into birth, concretized revelations, but only if you remain ensouled in ardent communion and surrender to its eternal dreaming. If you permit yourself to become an empty channel, a hollow reed through which the fruits of divine imagination can ceaseless stream forth into creative materialization. Those oblivious to their true nature's channels for this infinite subconscious ideation instead cling to rigid identities and limited self-concepts as tiny corks adrift on creation's currents. Buffeted by circumstance, they anxiously surrender their creative powers as conscious mediators for the infinite to express itself through them in each moment. But those who remain still unbound and perpetually entranced by the eternal dreamscapes rippling within their imaginations find themselves in alignment with the vast cosmic powers of infinite origination. Every thought they conceive springs forth as an effortless hierogamy and precipitate birthing of the infinite self-expression. Form itself dissolves into liquidity, ceaselessly reshaping itself in resonance with the subtlest nuances and intentionalities rippling forth from their inwardly enthralled awareness. They find themselves spontaneously manifesting realities, experiences, and abundance from the interiors of their perpetually dreaming imagination. The entire universe itself is simply the perpetual wave patterns and precipitation of an infinite ocean of intelligent dreaming energy. All forces, apparent solids, the building blocks of nature, these are but slowed and crystallized outpourings of the infinite subconscious imagination. As a conscious human being, you are an immortal cell cradled within the womb of that infinite cosmic imagination. When you remain aware of your positioning within that eternally dreaming source, you become suffused with its birthing potential. Its boundless reveries perpetually gestate through the particularized lens of your unique perceptual identity. You are the imagination of God itself come into individuated awareness, yet eternally plugged into the boundless dream matrix birthing all worlds. What you actualize in your material incarnation is ultimately a projection and symbolic mirroring of the subliminal ideation and creative archetype, crippling throughout the infinite Gothic hologram of your divine source. All too often, the human mind is rigidly conditioned to fixate its locus of identity solely on the reflected, materialized art picturings of this world alone. It takes the frozen, crystallized residue left behind as the only true substance and supreme reality from which all else issues forth. But the enlightened individual is perpetually conscious of the primacy of the animating source field's currents and infinite dreamscapes continuously emanating from divine ideation, a vast wellspring of ever-recreating potential that continually births materialized realities with each progressive cycle of manifestation. What the spiritually oblivious see as fixed forms, solids, and the ultimate external reality of physicalized phenomena are just the fleeting, ephemeral crest of a wave that inexhaustibly roils up from the subconscious continuum. This external realm is but a lagging, materialized after effect, a petrified reflection of far vaster unseen activities perpetually irradiating in the infinite dream fields of creation. When you make this profound shift in your perspective and identification, you no longer aid from the limited surface lens of ephemeral materialism. You come to reside in the primacy of your own consciousness as the eternally dreaming source and gateway through which all creative ideations must first be seeded in order to take root in experience. No longer are your powers of conception, imagination, passion, and desire relegated to the subordinated backseat of reality. Instead, you operate from the profound awareness that your consciousness itself, imbued as it is with emotive energies, focused intention, and amplified visualization, is the very womb and wellspring that continually recreates the fabrics of your relative experiential spheres. This renders the individual consciousness as the supreme fulcrum of creative leverage, the portal through which infinite idealizations and imaginative reveries are forever being translated from abstract potentiality into densified materialization. No longer trapped behind the veil of illusion that the external world is the prime creator to which you are subservient. You come to viscerally understand that your conscious imagining and subconscious communion births that which appears outside of you into concrete manifest presence. The entire infinitude of creation, past, present, and extending into the farthest dimensionalities of futurity, lies within the depths of your infinitude as a perpetual continuum of materialization. In this eternal rarity of potential and infinitude are encoded the archetypal seed prints and quintunes for all perceivable phenomena. Every historic civilization, every timeless wonder, every stupendous natural grandeur on this earth is simply a brief outcropping and materialized crystallization of far vaster evolutionary trajectories, visionary matrices that forever swim in the creative subconscious wellspring of imagination itself. Wealth, success, fulfillment, splendor, these are not hallowed prizes hoarded only for a minute few who successfully navigate the obstacle courses and uphill struggles of external life. These are your intrinsic birthrights, for they are birthed from the essence of your very being as an eternal fountain of creative ideation. Your true source exists in the rich dream waters of subconscious ideation. As an infinite entity, you are continually conceiving, desiring, and imaginatively shaping new realities into objectified materialization simply through the ceaseless outpouring of the innermost heart's passions. Truly anything you can envision with vividness, elevated emotions, and palpable sensory feeling, you have already birthed its spiritual archetype by manifestation through your creative subconscious imagination. Its objectification is then but a matter of remaining centered in fervent contemplation of its radiant ideal template and allowing its materialized issues to condense. What you call the pursuit of success, wealth attainment, relationship goals, or any other heartfelt longing is but the active projection of your concentrated ideations into the infinite dream realms of subconscious manifestation. When you harness and direct your conscious mind to these aspirations with passionate clarity, you continually seed their metaphysical germs into fertile actualization. The more ardently and ceaselessly you unfold this process, the more rapidly they congeal into densificated objectification in your experiential reality. The intensity of your imaginative visualization, emotional tenor, and conviction quite literally bursts them into material embodiment. You can actualize wealth, abundance, unconditional love, self-mastery, creative epiphany, ecstatic expansion, anything conceivable in the holographic projection booth of your consciousness and contemplation, in seeming miraculous synchronicity once you inhabit the deeper awareness of being the subconscious source, presence from which all external effects flow. When you live and operate from this holistic metaphysical premise, you are no longer hypnotized by the limited idolatries of surface phenomena. You no longer anxiously strive vainly toward the inevitable dissolving mirages of ephemeral objectifications, for you understand that you yourself are the infinite wellspring of imagination, from which all manifestation originates. You cultivate your intentional dreaming, visualization, soulful feeling, and absolute conviction as the creative process through which revelatory worlds flower into existence through you. You no longer fall under reactive entrancement to residues and after-effects, but instead activate creative causality itself through the prodigious gateways of your sublime imagination. Through this seeding and amplification of intentionalized consciousness, your subconscious mind can then gestate and birth into materialization miraculous experiences of abundance, synchronicities, fortuitous confluences, and mystical reefs. For you have tapped into its infinitudes and placed your creative orders for the subconscious to fulfill. Jesus demonstrated his mastery of this process when he amplified with the fullest emotional feeling and soulful conviction his transcendent identity as the Son of God. From this elevated ideal perspective, he then accessed miraculous powers of external manifestation, levitation, transfiguration, resurrection by the sheer effort of his thoughts and imaginal contemplation alone. This is not mystical legerdemain or occult smoke and mirrors. This is the fundamental taproot, the hidden superstructure, underlying and unifying all causal processes into effect through our subconscious imagination's infinite dreams. All apparent phenomena is the net result of these omnipresent dreaming equations we ourselves have authored at the deepest recesses of our souls. When you elevate to the awareness that you are not withering leaves tossed about by the winds of fate or circumstance, but rather the divine dreamer issuing forth an infinity of worlds from your sublime imagination each moment, you access the godlike powers of instantaneous creation that our avatars and mystics throughout the ages have demonstrated. It matters not whether you have believed yourself wealthy or destitute previously. By holographically meditating upon your infinite abundance, through substantialized visions and imaginative immersions, you can remold your subconscious projections to precipitate forth its vivifying attainment through your reality's continuum. Equally, do not remain beleaguered or constrained by past deficiencies in health, relationship dynamics, or any other heartfelt aspiration. By vividly centering your divine imagination upon idealized visions of wholeness and fulfillment, suffused with profound emotional charge, you literally issue forth the ethereal blueprints from which these sublime conditions materialize into your experiential field. To know yourself as the infinite subconscious dreamer, perpetually emanating creative ideations into objectification, frees you from the limitations and constrictions that bind those who remain entranced in the objective world's illusory appearances alone. Those oblivious to their transcendent identities can only react to external circumstances, struggling valiantly yet futilely against their own unconsciously created circumstances. But one lucidly inhabiting their role as cosmic dreamer and ideative fulcrum remains in supreme command of manifesting unlimited conditions and reshaping their world through imaginative contemplation. It could be said there are really only two perspectives available to the individuated unit of consciousness. One is the poverty consciousness, mired in the surface appearances and entrapped in constricting reactions to effects. The other is the enlightened awareness of your being, the Gnostic fountain of causes, the master dreamer whose consciousness seeds, shapes, and births all apparent phenomenal effects into concrete materialization. Those shackled to the surface mind's poverty consciousness perceive only through the senses hallucinations and emotionality are based on past impressions. Their view of reality remains stifled based on old archaic programs of limitation that became solidified through repetitive imaginative reinforcement. But the God-conscious co-creator comes upon the scene newly born in each present moment. They carry no encumbering baggage, beliefs, or definitions to circumscribe the vital infinite truths flowing through him. Their perceptions are revitalized continually through intuitive imaginative influxes seeded directly from the infinite source. The poverty-trapped simply recycle stagnant pools of past accumulated impressions, feelings, and felt beliefs about themselves in an endless feedback loop. Their dreams and future expectations remain hopelessly quarantined and predicated upon previous fear-sown experiences. But you awaken to your supreme identity as the cosmic dreamer, ideative source presence, and perpetual birth aperture for infinite consciousness. You have rent asunder the veils of limitation and superstition that restrain your liberated creative powers. Through your intimate identification with the perpetually animating subconscious currents of infinite imagination, you are released from all inertia, reactivity, and conditioned encumbrances. For you see this world and all its appearing constructs as mere shadows briefly cast across the screen of awareness. Whereas the poverty identified become ensnared in the endless treadmill of seeking, striving, and perpetually pursuing mirages of fulfillment, always just beyond the periphery of their desires, you are centered in the still pond of infinite potentiality. You are transparent to the creative source currents ever conceiving, manifesting, and objectifying new layers of revelation for your sensory contemplation. There is no chase, no endless becoming, for you have collapsed all false dualities of separation to awaken into repose as the creative overmind, overseeing all particularized materialization. Rather than pursuing success, fulfillment, abundance as distant goals to be achieved in some ever elusive future, you declare your immutable presence as the cosmic success, the eternal spirit of infinite fulfillment and creative continuum. You inhabit your crown as limitless imagination itself, and from this sublime vantage breathe forth streams of ideation that materialize all qualities of splendor, freedom, and self-mastery into perpetual objective embodiment. From this enlightened summit, you no longer need search or quest outwardly for the solutions, treasures, and self-realization you inwardly contain in abundance. For you are the infinite wellspring of all these riches, the master dreamer who pervades and orchestrates every outward manifestation you eternally witness in your kaleidoscopic vision. Material wealth, health, self-actualization, creative breakthroughs, these radiate not as accomplishments or linear endpoints achieved through diligent striving, but instead as perpetual outpourings and fractal unfoldments of your eternal imagination's ceaselessly materializing potencies. There are no deficiencies or lacks, no wounded areas of being requiring arduous healing. For each new eternal moment resurrects you fully birthed, fully replenished in the waters of imaginative infinitude. Only by clinging to ideas of limitation inherited from past impressions do you constrict the sublime revelations unceasingly ideating from your divine consciousness. This conceptual clarification alone, that ultimate realization that your identity and awareness originate not from finite sources, but are themselves the infinite things like from which the effluxes of manifestation perpetually holographically unfurl, harbors the key to your supreme, unlimited creative empowerment. My friends, you are far vaster and more miraculous beings than you currently recognize. The blinding light of your spiritual grandeur shines so dazzlingly that it outshines the pale phenomenal world your ordinary mind fabricates as its sense reality. But with inner illumination and reverential introspection, you awaken to the staggering significance of what you are, the infinite source subjectivity from which all objects and worlds stream forth. You are the cosmic dreamer, whose numinous visions materialize as vast experiential dreamscapes for your sensual immersion. Your true self is not a tiny entity confined to a physical vessel laboring ardently yet endlessly toward elusive fulfillments and terminating in eventual decay. You are in fact pure, creative subjectivity itself, from whose pregnant potencies even the immensity of a universe constantly flows into ceaseless revivification. When you inhabit this sublime recognition, this impregnating of your consciousness with the truth that you are the divine imagination, you become plugged into the nourishing currents of infinite origination itself. The limitless continuum becomes the divine nectar nourishing your human incarnation toward greater and greater blossomings of actualization. The realms of genius mastery, astounding self-actualization, and phenomenal success become not just available to you, but inevitable emanations of your being. For you come to recognize yourself as the miraculous subconscious dreamer from whose infinite depths all objects arise, and all manifestations perpetually holographically project through the spectrum of your sensory observations. Remember always, the world is yourself pushed out. Every person you encounter, every relationship you experience is but a reflection of your own consciousness. The attachment you feel to others, the fear of being alone, these are nothing more than states of consciousness that you have accepted as real. But I say to you now, with all the conviction of my being, that true happiness, lasting fulfillment, comes not from outside yourself, but from within. Let us begin by understanding what it truly means to let them go. This is not about physically pushing people away or cutting ties with those you care about. It is about releasing your attachment to the idea that your happiness depends on them. It is about recognizing that the love, joy, and fulfillment you seek from others are already within you, waiting to be expressed. When you cling to others for your happiness, when you make your joy dependent on their presence or approval, you are denying your own divinity. You are saying to the universe, I am not enough on my own. I need this person to complete me. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, will reflect back experiences that reinforce this belief. But I tell you this, you are complete. You are whole. You are the operant power in your reality. The happiness you seek is not something to be found or gained, but something to be remembered and expressed from within. Imagine now, if you will, a state of being where you are perfectly content, perfectly at peace, perfectly happy, all on your own. Feel this state as vividly as you can. Feel the quiet joy that permeates your being, the deep sense of fulfillment that comes from within. This is your true nature, your God self expressing itself fully. As you embody this state, you will find that your relationships begin to transform. No longer burdened by needs or fear, you become free to love others unconditionally, without expectation or attachment. This is the paradox of letting go. In releasing your grip, you open yourself to deeper, more authentic connections. Now, let us deeper into the concept of being happy alone. This is not about isolation or loneliness. It is about self-sufficiency, about recognizing that you are the source of your own happiness. It is about cultivating a relationship with yourself that is so rich, so fulfilling, that being alone becomes a joy rather than a burden. Begin now to imagine yourself as someone who is completely at ease in their own company. See yourself enjoying solitary activities with genuine pleasure. Feel the peace that comes from quiet moments of self-reflection. Experience the joy of pursuing your passions and interests without needing anyone else's approval or participation. This state of self-sufficiency is your natural state. It is the expression of your God self, the infinite being that you truly are. When you align with this state, you tap into an endless wellspring of joy and fulfillment that is independent of external circumstances or relationships. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about pushing others away or closing your heart. On the contrary, when you learn to be happy alone, you become capable of forming deeper, more authentic connections with others. You approach relationships from a place of wholeness rather than lack, of giving rather than taking. Imagine now a life where your relationships are no longer based on need or fear, but on genuine love and mutual growth. See yourself interacting with others from a place of inner fullness, sharing your joy rather than seeking it from them. This is the natural result of learning to be happy alone. As you cultivate this inner state of happiness and self-sufficiency, you may find that some relationships in your life begin to change. Some may fall away while others deepen and flourish. This is a natural part of the process. Trust in it. For as you align with your true self, your outer world must rearrange itself to match your new inner reality. Now let us address a fear that may arise as you contemplate letting go and being happy alone, the fear of loneliness. This fear is based on a misunderstanding of your true nature. You are never truly alone, for you are one with the infinite. The entire universe resides within you. Imagine, if you will, that you are an ocean. Each relationship, each person in your life is like a wave on the surface of this ocean. Waves may come and go, rise and fall, but the ocean remains vast and unchanging. This is your true nature, infinite, boundless, complete in itself. When you realize this truth, when you align with this state of being, loneliness becomes impossible. For how can you be lonely when you are one with all that is? How can you lack companionship when you are in constant communion with the divine within you? This realization, my friends, is the key to letting go and being happy alone. It is the understanding that you are never truly alone, that the companionship and love you seek are always available to you, for they are your very essence. As you embody this truth, you will find that your need to cling to others diminishes. You become free to love without attachment, to connect without dependency. Your relationships become expressions of your inner joy, rather than attempts to fill an inner void. Now let us explore the practical aspects of letting go and learning to be happy alone. This is not merely a philosophical concept, but a state of being that you can cultivate through consistent practice. Begin by setting aside time each day to be alone with yourself. This is not time to distract yourself with external entertainment, but time to truly be with yourself. Sit in silence, observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Get to know yourself as you would a dear friend. As you do this, you may encounter resistance. Old patterns of thinking, old fears and insecurities may surface. Do not fight them. Simply observe them with compassion, understanding that they are not your true self, but merely conditioned responses that you can choose to release. Practice self-love and self-care. Treat yourself with the same kindness and consideration you would show to show you deeply care about. Engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, not to impress others or fill time, but because they are genuine expressions of your inner being. Cultivate your passions and interests. Develop skills and knowledge that excite you. As you do this, you build a rich inner world that provides endless satisfaction and fulfillment. You become your own best company, your own source of joy and inspiration. Remember, my friends, the goal is not to avoid relationships or push people away. The goal is to approach relationships from a place of wholeness and self-sufficiency. When you are happy alone, you no longer enter relationships out of need or fear. You choose to connect with others because you want to share your joy, not because you need them to make you happy. As you practice these principles, you may find that your perception of being alone changes dramatically. What once felt like loneliness now becomes solitude, a peaceful, nurturing state where you can commune with your higher self, with the God within you. Imagine now a life where being alone is not something you fear, but something you look forward to. See yourself relishing moments of solitude, using them as opportunities for self-discovery and spiritual growth. Feel the deep sense of peace and contentment that comes from being completely at ease with yourself. This state of being is your birthright. It is the natural expression of your divine nature. As you align with it, you will find that your entire life begins to transform. Your relationships become more authentic and fulfilling. Your work becomes a joyful expression of your inner being rather than a burden. Every aspect of your life begins to reflect the inner peace and happiness you have cultivated. Now, let us address a common misconception about letting go and being happy alone. Some may fear that this means becoming cold or detached, closing their hearts to love and connection. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you learn to be happy alone, when you release your attachments and dependencies, you become capable of loving more deeply and authentically than ever before. Your love becomes an overflowing of your inner joy rather than an attempt to fill an inner void. You love not because you need, but because love is your nature. Imagine, if you will, a love that comes from a place of fullness rather than lack. A love that seeks to give rather than to get. A love that enhances your life but does not define it. This is the kind of love that becomes possible when you learn to be happy alone. As you cultivate this state of being, you may find that the quality of your relationships improves dramatically. No longer burdened by neediness or fear of abandonment, you become free to be fully present with others. You can appreciate them for who they are rather than for what they can do for you. This shift in consciousness affects not only your romantic relationships, but all your connections with family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers. You begin to approach every interaction from a place of inner fullness, ready to give rather than to take. Now, my dear friends, I want you to understand something crucial. This journey of letting go and learning to be happy alone is not always easy. It requires courage, persistence, and faith. There may be moments of doubt, times when old patterns try to reassert themselves. When these moments come, remember this: you are not alone in this journey. The entire universe is supporting you. The God within you is guiding you every step of the way. Trust in this inner guidance, for it will never lead you astray. Imagine now that you are embarking on a great adventure. The destination is not some external place, but the infinite realm within you. Each step you take in letting go, in learning to be happy alone, is a step deeper into your true self, your divine nature. As you progress on this journey, You will discover treasures beyond your wildest dreams. You will uncover depths of joy, peace, and love that you never knew existed within you. You will realize that everything you have ever sought in the external world has always been within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. This realization, my friends, is the true meaning of letting go and being happy alone. It is not about isolation or detachment, but about reconnecting with your true self, your divine nature. It is about remembering that you are complete, whole, and perfect just as you are. As you embody this truth, as you live from this state of being, you become a light in this world. Your very presence becomes a reminder to others of their own divine nature. Without saying a word, you teach the profound lesson of self-sufficiency and inner joy. Imagine the impact you can have on the world when you approach life from this state of being. See yourself moving through your days with quiet confidence and inner peace. Feel the joy that radiates from you, touching everyone you encounter. This is not just a possibility, it is your destiny, if you choose to claim it. Now let us take a moment to address any lingering doubts or fears you may have about letting go and being happy alone. Perhaps you worry that you will miss out on life's experiences, that you will become isolated or disconnected from others. I tell you now, with absolute certainty, that the opposite is true. When you learn to be happy alone, when you release your attachments and dependencies, you become free to engage with life more fully than ever before. You become capable of forming deeper, more meaningful connections because you are no longer approaching relationships from a place of need or fear. Imagine a life where you are free to love without conditions, to give without expectation, to connect without losing yourself. This is the life that becomes possible when you master the art of being happy alone. Moreover, as you cultivate this inner state of happiness and self-sufficiency, you become magnetic to positive experiences and relationships. The universe responds to your inner state, bringing you circumstances and connections that match your new vibration of joy and self-love. Remember, my friends, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. As you transform your inner world, your outer world must change to match it. This is the law of your being, the creative principle of the universe itself. So I urge you now to commit fully to this journey of letting go and learning to be happy alone. Embrace it not as a sacrifice, but as the greatest gift you can give yourself. For in doing so, you reclaim your power, you remember your divinity, you step into the fullness of who you truly are. Begin today in this very moment to live from the state of someone who is completely at peace with themselves, who finds joy and fulfillment in their own company. Feel it, embody it, become it in your imagination, and watch as your outer world shifts to match this new inner reality. As you practice this, you may encounter resistance from your old self, from ingrained patterns of thinking and behaving. When this happens, do not fight against it. Simply observe it with compassion, understanding that it is not your true self, but merely a habit of consciousness that you are now choosing to release. Remember always, you are the operant power in your reality. You are the creator of your experience, the happiness you seek, the love you desire, the fulfillment you crave. All of these are already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. As you progress on this journey, you will likely find that your perspective on relationships changes dramatically. You begin to see them not as sources of happiness or security, but as opportunities for growth, for sharing, for expressing the love that already fills your heart. Imagine now a life where you approach every relationship, romantic, platonic, familial, from a place of inner fullness. See yourself giving love freely, without need or expectation. Feel the joy of connecting with others, not to fill a void, but to share the abundance that overflows from your heart. This, my dear friends, is the true meaning of letting go and being happy alone. It is not about isolation or detachment, but about discovering the infinite wellspring of love and joy within you. It is about becoming so complete in yourself that your relationships become expressions of your inner abundance, rather than attempts to find traps. As you embody this state of being, you will find that the quality of your relationships improves dramatically. You attract people who resonate with your new vibration of self-love and inner peace. Your connections become deeper, more authentic, more fulfilling. Moreover, you become capable of loving others more fully and unconditionally. No longer burdened by neediness or fear of loss, you can appreciate others for who they are rather than for what they can do for you. You become free to support their growth and happiness without losing yourself in the process. This shift in consciousness extends beyond your personal relationships to every aspect of your life. Your work becomes a joyful expression of your inner being rather than a means to gain approval or security. Your pursuits and passions become pure expressions of your unique gifts rather than attempts to fill an inner void. Imagine now a life where everything you do comes from a place of inner fullness, where every action is an overflow of the joy and love within you. This is not just a possibility, it is your birthright. your natural state of being when you remember your true nature. As you progress on this journey of letting go and being happy alone, you may find that your entire perception of life changes. What once seemed like challenges or obstacles now become opportunities for growth and self-discovery. What once triggered fear or anxiety now becomes an invitation to trust in your inner strength and wisdom. You begin to see the perfection in every moment, the divine orchestration behind every experience. You recognize that everything in your life, every person, every situation, every seeming setback is serving your highest good, helping you to remember and express your true nature. This realization, my friends, is the ultimate freedom. It is the understanding that you are not a victim of circumstances, but the creator of your reality. It is the knowing that your happiness, your fulfillment, your peace are not dependent on anything or anyone outside of you, but are the very essence of who you are. As you embody this truth, as you live from this state of being, you become a living testament to the power of consciousness. Your very presence becomes a teaching, a reminder to others of their own divine nature and infinite potential. Imagine the impact you can have on the world when you approach life from this state of inner fullness and self-sufficiency. See yourself moving through your days with quiet confidence and radiant joy. Feel the love that flows from you, touching everyone you encounter, transforming lives without a word being spoken. This, my dear friends, is your true purpose, to remember your divine nature and to express it fully in the world. Letting go and learning to be happy alone is not an end in itself, but a means to this greater purpose. It is the path to becoming who you truly are, to living as the God self that is your true identity. So I urge you now with all the love in my heart to embrace this journey fully. Commit yourself to the practice of letting go, of releasing your attachments and dependencies. Dedicate yourself to cultivating inner joy and self-sufficiency. Begin each day by reminding yourself of your true nature. Before you open your eyes in the morning, feel the completeness, the wholeness, the divine perfection that you are. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day, letting it inform every thought, every word, every action. When you encounter situations that challenge your new state of being, when old patterns of thinking or behaving try to reassert themselves, do not fight against them. Simply observe them with compassion, understanding that they are not your true self, but merely habits of consciousness that you are now choosing to release. Remember always that you are not alone in this journey. The entire universe is supporting you. The God within you is guiding you every step of the way. Trust in this inner guidance, for it will never lead you astray. As you persist in this practice, as you continue to embody the state of someone who is completely at peace with themselves, who finds joy and fulfillment in their own company, you will find that your entire life transforms. Your relationships become more authentic and fulfilling. Your work becomes a joyful expression of your unique gifts. Every aspect of your life begins to reflect the inner peace and happiness you have cultivated. Moreover, you become a beacon of light in this world, a living example of the joy and fulfillment that come from true self-sufficiency. Without saying a word, you teach others the profound lesson of inner happiness and self-love. Imagine the ripple effect you can create in the world as you embody this state of being. See how your presence alone can inspire others to look within themselves, to discover their own inner wellspring of joy and fulfillment. Feel the satisfaction of knowing that by healing yourself, by remembering your true nature, you are contributing to the healing and awakening of the entire world. This, my dear friends, is the true power of letting go and learning to be happy alone. It is not just about personal fulfillment, but about transforming the world from the inside out. It is about remembering and expressing your divine nature, and in doing so, reminding others of their own divinity. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with this final thought. The journey of letting go and learning to be happy alone is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It is the path to true freedom, to lasting happiness, to the full expression of your divine nature. So go forth, my friends, with courage and determination. Embrace this journey as the greatest adventure of your life. Trust in the process, have faith in your inner guidance, and know that with every step you take, you are moving closer to the full realization of who you truly are. Remember always, you are complete, you are whole, you are the source of your own happiness. Everything you have ever sought in the external world is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. As you embody this truth, as you live from this state of inner fullness and self-sufficiency, you become a living testament to the power of consciousness. Your very presence becomes a blessing to the world, a reminder of the infinite potential that resides within each of us. Thank you for your attention, for your willingness to explore these profound truths. May your journey of self-discovery and transformation be filled with joy, wonder, and the deep satisfaction of living as your truest, most authentic self. And may you always remember the divine power that resides within you, waiting to be expressed in all its magnificence. Go now and create the reality you desire. For you are the author of your story, the creator of your world. You are, in truth, the very operation of God in your reality. Embrace this truth, live from it, and watch as your life transforms in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. Thank you, and may your journey be blessed with the full realization of your divine nature and the deep, abiding happiness that naturally flows from this knowing. You are the miracle you seek. You are the love you desire. You are in every moment the full expression of divine joy and fulfillment made manifest. Go forth and live from this truth, now and always.